ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। Verse number 65. इन्द्रेन्द्राण्योः प्रकामं सुरतसुखजुषोः स्याद्रतान्तः सुषुप्तिः तस्यामानन्दसान्द्रं पदमतिगहनं यत्स आनन्दकोशः तस्मिन्नो वेद किञ्चिन्निरतिशयसुखाभ्यान्तरे लीयमानः दुःखी स्यात् बोधितः सन्निति कुशलमतिः बोधयेत् नैव सुक्तम्. Based on Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 422 mantras, 422 and 423. That is the citation, and we have been seeing that. We have been looking at that in detail and understanding the ramifications of and the metaphoric connections between all of this. So 422 and 423 have this wonderful visualization or meditation upon Bhagavan as seated behind the right eye. Seated behind the right eye is Bhagavan, and today also, if we have some time, we can continue with some meditation, contemplation practice towards the end. We can do that. So, seated behind the right eye is Bhagavan, and so what does it accomplish? It it accomplishes many things. First is that it brings about a revolutionary change in the vision. Bhagavan, first we are aware of the presence of Bhagavan as the seer. So if Bhagavan is the seer, that which is seen is also non-separate from Bhagavan. Why? Because the left eye is not left behind. The left eye is the light which brings the sense objects to light. So now we are in a very interesting quandary. Seer, of course, is Bhagavan, and seen is what? Bhagavan. Okay, any question I ask, the answer is Bhagavan. Okay, yeah. So seer is Bhagavan, seen is Bhagavan, and the act of seeing is the conjoined working of the right and the left eye together, symbolized by Indra and Indrani. So that which is the Indha, we also saw this, that Indra likes to be, Bhagavan does not like to be directly addressed through name because of the fact that Bhagavan is not objectifiable. It is the truth of oneself. So we say Indha instead of Indra. We saw that also. And so the operation of sight is due to the light of consciousness, and the light of consciousness blessing the eyes and bringing and blessing the objects to be brought to light. And so that is the means of knowledge, which is also what is the answer? Bhagavan. So this tripod which we have, which somehow is insurmountable in the day-to-day affairs, that the seer is different from the seen, and the means of knowledge is different from the seer and the seen. So this Triputi is always a thorn in the side of Vedanta, the one who wants to, the practitioner or the seeker who wants to have Vedanta in day-to-day life. So this is Vedanta in day-to-day life, because this visualization accomplishes the temporary suspension of the seer, seen, and sight. Why? By consciously Ishvarizing the objects of sight and the seer and the means of knowledge. And that means of knowledge is Indrani, Shachi. Then if you see pictures, if you Google Indrani or Shachi, you will find a figure full of eyes everywhere, eyes all over the body. That is what it is. She's the one who brings things to light. So Indrani is the operation of the pramana. Indra is that light of consciousness, and then the operation of the pramana brings things to light, and the objects that are brought to light are also Bhagavan. So that's the first thing this accomplishes. The second thing that this visualization accomplishes is it brings the it makes one question the separation that we encounter in day to day life. So the mithyatvam of the separation, or the discrete things in time and space that one encounters and that one has opinions about, etc., all that is laid bare. So one is always understanding that, okay, whatever is that the seer seen difference is mithya. Mithya means it's a dependent reality, it's an as though reality, it's not anything connected to the eye, and it's separate from the operation of the pramana, the status of seer, the status of seen, etc., have to do with the identification with the ahankara. And here the ahankara is the second thing that's accomplished. The ahankara is given a pacifier and laid to rest temporarily. And the third thing, since it's a visualization, since it's a kind of a karma, it's not exactly, I mean, it's borderline karma because there is some effort to do this. So it is a kind of a meditation slash contemplation. So therefore, it is a form of prayer. And any prayer, including a mental prayer, has the result, the phala of antahkarana shuddhi. So this is up till now we have seen this in verses 422, 423, because and then the last thing it accomplishes, it makes the alienated jiva one with the whole, one with the jagat, one with the cause of the jagat, because of the complex discussion in 422 and 423 of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad of how the light of consciousness, that awareness through the eyes as Bhagavan and Bhagavati converge in the energy center called the Bhruvoho Madhye, between the two eyebrows, and from there they descend to the heart. And the heart space is the seat of all the meridians, nadis. Like if you go to ayurvedic, what's its name, treatment, if you go for ayurvedic treatment, they are not going to they are not go, it's very different from any kind of allopathic treatment. Here they will talk about various energy points called marma chikitsa. And then here they will also talk about so many things. And there is so there is a they visualize the body. The science of ayurveda is based on the body having some invisible pathways called meridians, and in Sanskritam called nadi. So this nadi is meridians, and these meridians, they have a complex way of going all over the place. And so if you have a headache, the big toe is pressed. Why? What is the connection? Some invisible meridians are there, and if there is some kind of a energy blockage, it will appear in just the neck of the big toe. And then when the big toe is pressed in a certain way for a certain length of time and for so many times a day, and if the big toe is pressed, then the headache will leave because there is a connection. Unlike the Western medicine, where from podiatrist to neurologist, they don't even know how to talk to one another. Podiatrist means I deal with your foot, and that's all. And then what? If there is a problem above the ankle, go to some other person. And then same thing. So from head to toe. And of course, the dermatologist means my knowledge is skin deep. That's what it is. And so, so you have to go from one practitioner to other, like a football. The Sikh Jiva is a football going from one place to another, because that is a particular kind of a training in Western medicine, is that you go deep into one particular body part and study that completely. And of course, I'm exaggerating, it's not that bad. And but still, there is a stark difference between the if you look at ancient Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, etc. So that's because both these systems and these indigenous systems have some, the presence of these invisible sukshma. Invisible means sukshma, subtle meridians running through various bodies. And then these nadis have names. 72,000 nadis are there all over the body. And then we have Ida, Pingala, they have all these names. And then the whole point is they can be if they are if they are in a state of agitation, they can be calmed down using pranayama, etc. All these things are there. This much we have seen. This is just a what should I say, recap of what we have seen last time. And so the seat of the heart is where the everything comes to a state of rest. The seer, the status of the seer, as Bhagavan rests in the what should I say, in the space of the heart. Space of the heart, we should not take the real heart, we should take the figurative heart, the source. So the seat of the I. Because if you ask somebody who did that, if you ask a child, the child will say, I did that. Even the adult says, I did that. So somehow there is this identification with this heart space. And so that is seen as the seat of the indweller, Bhagavan. And so Bhagavan rests in repose, and there is no Bhagavan separate from Bhagavati. There is no means of knowledge separate from that consciousness, that awareness. And there is no sight, seer, seen. All that comes to a place of rest. And when it comes to a place of rest, then that that the ahankara is also in repose. And when the ahankara is in repose, one is happy, because the complaining individual is sleeping. So the complaining individual is not active. So this is something to celebrate. And so this is talked about very nicely with the help of also the example of the sleep state. Let us see the verse now. So last week we looked at the Upanishad Vakyas and their pertinence to this verse. And now this week we are going to analyze the verse itself and understand the meaning. Indra Indranyoho. Indra plus Indrani, of them. Indra Indranyoho. Sixth case dual. Indra Indranyoho prakamam surata sukhajushoho syat ratantaha sushuptihi. So the first line is actually defining very creatively the state called sushupti, sleep. What is sleep? Oh, when I get tired and crash and the head hits the pillow. This is what the modern person will define as sleep. No, 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 no. A poet of the caliber of the one who is able to compose such verses as the Satasloki will have a very different take on it, and bring in the Upanishad also. A very beautiful understanding of sleep is unfolding. So what is sleep? Ratantaha sushuptihi syat. Ratantaha means, surata ratantaha. Surata sukhajushoho ratantaha. The conjugal happiness of Indra and Indrani. The end of the conjugal happiness of Indra and of the union between Indra and Indrani is known as sleep. Very beautiful. So, what is the waking state? The waking state is the conjoint operation of Bhagavan behind the right eye, Bhagavati behind the left eye, and bringing things to light and everything. So that is the union and the sporting, the leela. Then after that, what happens? They are happy because they've done their job and they have brought things to light and everything. And then they rest in the from the center of this center, the Agnya center, they go to the heart center, they just rest, and that is called sleep. Sushuptihi syat. Very beautiful. And here we have, and here it is something so lovely to think that one's sleep state is the result of the love between Bhagavan and Bhagavati. How nice, very nice. So that is sleep. And what kind of what is sleep? It says later on, it will say niratishaya sukham, a happiness that is beyond description and beyond limits happiness. So the activity of sight and the status of seer and the status of that which is seen, that seer seen sight, when that is understood as nothing but Bhagavan Bhagavati operation combined, and that operator is Bhagavan, and that awareness is Bhagavan. What comes to light is Bhagavan. That is the conjugal union. What comes to light is Bhagavan. There is no three anymore. There is not three, there is only one. And the understanding of that leads one to sleep. Meaning what is this sleep? The sleep is the cessation of all operations. When the operations, and when that tripod of seer seen sight, its bluff is called, all that is there is oneness, and here that is described as the sleep state. Very nice. And then that's the first line, sushuptihi syat. Tasya uh, tasya तस्याम् आनन्दसान्द्रं पदम् अतिगहनं यत्स आनन्दकोशः. Anandasandram means that depth of that ananda, padam ati gahanam, that state which is difficult to describe, a profound state of no interaction with the external world. All that is there is that Bhagavan residing in its own glory. That awareness is not really contacting anything, it's not a witness to anything, because there is nothing to witness, it's all one. The witness, witnessed, and the manner of witnessing has all been swallowed up in this wonderful union. And so it is a state which is difficult to describe, because if you start describing it, that the threefold the differences start to rise. There is no way of describing it. Just like the person who is asleep cannot answer yes to the question, are you asleep? That is exactly what is here. So atigahanam padam yat saha ananda koshaha. So what is this atigahanam padam? Is it is it my swarupa? Is it Ananda? Yes, of course it is Ananda. Why is it Ananda? Because it is not different from chocolate cake Ananda, and it is not different from sunset Ananda, or it is not different from Satasloki Ananda, the Ananda that is derived from listening to verses such as this. It's not different. That same Ananda, and the same portion in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is going to say later that lesha leshatah matram eva jivaha they eat this Ananda. Upajivanti. Matrameva upajivanti sarve jivaha. Meaning, all the people, in all the beings in the universe, whenever they are happy, and when are they happy? Whenever the ahankara is out of commission, they are happy. And when they are not complaining, in other words, they are happy. So what is this state of happiness? This state of happiness is a small little scrap of that ananda, which is the truth of oneself. Why is it a small scrap? Because after enjoying this little piece of ananda, a small scrap, sitting like a doggy at the table of ananda, instead of taking one's rightful place at the table, one is begging at the table for a scrap of ananda, and then there is a messy child who is eating and a piece of something falls, and the dog cleans it up quickly, and the dog is very happy until when? Until that is ingested, and as soon as it's ingested, again it wags the tail and starts to beg. That is why it is a temporary ananda, a little piece of ananda, piecemeal ananda. What is piecemeal? A piece of the meal. Okay, yeah. So a piece of the meal which is being served at the table, that that ananda is sleep. Oh, but it lasts for 8 hours. Yeah, let it last for 8 hours. It is still piecemeal. Think of your whole life, which is, and then here 8 hours sleep is nothing. It's nothing for that timeless Ananda, which is you, timeless, spaceless, what objectless Ananda, which is you. And so, this Ananda of the union of Indra and Indrani, this Ananda that is spurred by the end of the union of Indra and Indrani, which brings all kinds of objects to light when there is no activity of the senses and the sense organs, and the status of the one that has taken on the title of the seer, then what happens? There is sleep, which is Niratishaya Sukham. It mimics the Ananda that belongs to oneself, nay, that is non separate from oneself. It mimics that ananda. It doesn't actually, we couldn't even say mimic. It is a small portion of the ananda, and even to say that, it is kind of we have to put some punctuation and edits. Why is it a small portion of the ananda? Because this ananda that is impartite, that is partless, that cannot be made into parts, here we are saying small portion, but I think it's metaphoric, and you understand that. So to take this alone as the Ananda is what is a mistake that is made upon the self. It is an error. That is why it is not Ananda. It is Anandamaya Koshaha. Here, look at the last word in the second line. Yat Saha Ananda Koshaha. Koshavat achadakatvat kosha. So kosha means that which as though covers. So this is a kind of a covering. So what is it covering? Well, one can say that it is covering Atma, but really, are you sure it is covering Atma? Is the Atma something that can ever be covered? The answer, of course, is no. So, therefore, what we bring in our trusty old phrase, what is that? Don't say Bhagavan now, okay? That would be the wrong answer. What is the trusty phrase? As though. Yeah, that which is as though covered from oneself. For why? For lack of a pramana, for lack of shabda pramana, for lack of guru, shastra, etc. That as though covering is what is being talked about here. The Atma is there shining brightly, and yet blinded by this light, the person is keeping on saying, Bhagavan, where are you? Where are you? This is the kind of covering we are talking about. So this Anandamaya Kosha, Maya here means Vikara. Vikara is a modification of that Ananda, a modified, sublated, truncated, punctuated edited and abridged Ananda. That is in the form of sleep, that is in the form of the condition of the mind between the satisfaction of one desire and the rise of another, that little space. Ah, very nice. Oh no, too hot. Oh no, too cold. Ah, now nice. That is the one. In between two desires, what is there? That is also, a little jhalak, means a glimpse into that which is the truth of oneself. So here is the caveat. We cannot say that chocolate cake ananda, table scrap ananda, sleep ananda, etc. are different from the niratishaya ananda. We cannot say that. Because if we were to say that, then we'll have to ask the question, will the real ananda please stand up? And then, of course, if we said that Brahmananda is different from all of this, then there is a sense of dissociation. That's why the Panchadashikara, Swami Vidyaranya, the author of the Panchadashi, makes this very clear in the last three chapters of his magnum opus work. And what does he say? The title is Yogananda, chapter 14, Vidyananda, chapter 13, Vidyananda, chapter 14, Vishayananda, chapter 15. So he posits through these three chapters, he shows very clearly Vishayanande Brahmananda. So this Brahmananda that we are talking about is not separate from Vishayananda, is manifest in the Vishayananda, albeit in a truncated form, because the seer seen difference is very much present. So we experience the world in little slices and pieces. Therefore, it is piecemeal Ananda. Therefore, that's why I keep giving this unforgettable example that I encountered. This was in some temple when I had gone to give a lecture. A small child was crying into her ice cream. She had a little tub of ice cream and she's weeping into it. I said, "What happened?" And the parents were ignoring her. They said, "This is not the first time she has done it." But I said, "What happened? Are you sad?" "Yeah." "Why are you sad?" And she said, "Because it's already half over." Very wise child. It's half over. And of course, she's crying into it, so it's melting even faster than before, and soon it'll be already over. This is why it is Anandamaya, because that Ananda has a lesha of sadness, because there is finitude associated with the Ananda. Oh, wonderful thing coming to an end. Oh no. The thought, the anticipation of something coming to an end makes one all twisted up and tied up in knots because of that dread, because nobody likes endings. And so like a child that refuses to come home after the birthday party, like that everybody is, all jivas are like that, wanting to keep on making that ananda elastic and eking more and more out of the experiences. But really speaking, the experiential ananda, that is why it's a pitfall, because it is taken to be real. Ayo, you just now said it is real. Yes, it is non-separate from that which is Ananda, which is the truth of yourself. But Ananda is not chocolate cake. This is what we have to. It's all one way. Chocolate cake is Ananda, sleep is Ananda, any kind of happiness that you have in the form of Ashtalakshmi in our culture, all the happinesses, Griha Lakshmi, the happiness from domestic happiness, that is nothing from the other, that is Paramananda. It's not non-separate from Paramananda. Santana Lakshmi, the happiness that you get from progeny. And then Dhana Lakshmi, Dhanya Lakshmi, the happiness from having good things to eat, the happiness from having what one might consider a handsome or a secure bank account. All these sources of Ananda are not separate from the Ananda. And the happiness that you get from study of Vedanta is also a particular kind of Ananda. It is called Vidyananda. And then what is Vishayananda, Vidyananda, Yogananda? All this is not separate from Ananda, which is the Swarupananda. Swarupananda is that alone. But what? But the Swarupananda cannot be made into Vishayananda. That is what we have to keep in mind. That is why this is Ananda Maya. And kosha is best described as a locus of error. So the pancha koshas, the five koshas, are the five places where mistakes are committed. I am as good as the body, Annamaya kosha. The I is as good as prana, Pranamaya kosha. The I is nothing but the mind. Mind is I is not the mind. And that's why the portion says tena esha purnaha. So the mind is Brahman. Brahman is not the mind. Then manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha. Karta is I. Karta is Bhagavan. Bhagavan is not Karta. Karta is Brahman. Brahman is not Karta. This so vijnanamaya kosha. Vijnanam yagyam tanute. Karmani tanute picha. So this is how the Vijnanamaya Kosha is described. The one who is identified as the Karta, this is a locus of error, because if you take yourself to be the agent of action, then you are subject to guilt, hurt, pain, sorrow. Then finally, Anandamaya Kosha. This is also a kosha. Why? Because that Anandamaya kosha is seen as the what is that? Is seen as a place of error, because there is an identification with oneself as bhoktru, bhokta, an experiencer and of enjoyments. An enjoyer here is mistaken to be that Ananda. So because if I say I am enjoying something, I am stuck to or identified with the status of being the enjoyer, and so therefore there is already a problem there. So this is why it is Anandamaya kosha. And all the koshas in the Taittiriya Upanishad are described for easy assimilation and understanding in the form of a bird. So, what does a bird have? The body parts of the bird include the head, the left wing, the right wing, and the tail. The tail is very important. Because of the tail, the bird gets the stability to fly and to sit and all these things, to be in one place. And so each bird, the Vijnanamaya bird, the Annamaya bird, etc., all of them have certain metaphorical understandings. So if you look at the Anandamaya bird, let us see how that is Anandamaya kosha in the form of the bird, how it is described in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Tasya priyameva shiraha मोदो दक्षिणः पक्षः प्रमोद उत्तरः पक्षः आनन्द आत्मा ब्रह्मपुच्छं प्रतिष्ठा तदप्येष श्लोको भवति. This is a Rik mantra that is quoted in the Yajurveda, which has the Taittiriya Upanishad. And so let us look at this bird. Let us say its head comprises what is called Priya. We'll see all this. And the left wing is Moda. The right wing is Pramoda. The essence of it is Ananda. It's Atma, means the truth of it, the content of it is all Ananda alone, not Maya here, Swarupananda alone. And what is the tail? Brahman is the tail. Ayyo, I don't like this. Brahman should be the head. Why is Brahman the tail? Because I told you the tail gives the stability. Yeah, the tail is what makes the bird a bird. And so this is very interesting. So Priyameva, this Priya, Moda, Pramoda are, that is why it is Anandamaya, because they talk about the gradations of Ananda. So what is Priya? Ishtavastu Darshanam is called Priya. Ishtavastu Darshanam means, I spy with my little eyes something, an object of delight. So the bell rings, your doorbell rings, and then you see through the door cam. All this we have to add these days, okay? Because nobody really opens the door. So you see through the door cam somebody bringing a big cake, in their hands, or some halwa. You see that, some your friend. And immediately the condition of mind, which is the head of the bird of the Anandamaya kosha, called Priya, occurs. There is a smile. You smile even before you open the door, because and you're not presuming that at this point you don't know. Your friend may be just dropping by to say hello, and maybe on a way to a potluck somewhere else, 4 or 5 doors down, and maybe this sweet dish that she or he is having in their hand, what they are having in their hand is meant for the neighbor, not for you. You're not sure. That's why a slight happiness occurs, because you're fond of that thing, and the ishtavastu darshanena, the change of heart and mind that takes place, that happiness, that slight happiness is called Priya. Then your friend comes in the door. And then what happens? This is actually for you. Why? Oh, it's for me? Me? Really? It's for me? Yes, it's for you. Then the condition of mind, the happiness is a little more than Priya. If Priya elicited a smile, Moda elicits showing at least of the incisors and the molars in the smile. A few of the teeth are shown in the condition of mind called moda. Why? Because now it is without a doubt that this is ishtavastu prapanam. So this ishtavastu is not just, I'm not just saying hello to it from a distance. It is meant for me. Moda, wonderful. And then what? Then what is pramoda? When you dig into the ishtavastu, and when you have union between here, if the ishtavastu is an object of for something to eat. So when the jihva, when the tongue, which is the sense organ, contacts the ishtavastu and seizes it, that union between the object and the sense organ of the subject, that is called pramoda. All 28 come out. Teeth, I mean. But aren't there 32? Yeah, but these days they take out the wisdom teeth. So we have to account for that also. We modernize the expression battisi. Battisi means 32 teeth are out. But here it's 28 teeth. Hai. No problem. So this is pramoda. So pramoda means what? You wait for the guest to depart before you partake of that. Why? Because it's not polite, especially if the guest says, I don't want it, it's all for you. So you can't just, fall upon it and eat it. So in the meantime, you silently drool. That's all. And then there is pramoda when there is union between that object of delight and the ahankara through the operation of the here jihva, the tongue. Okay. So this is pramoda. So the Priya, Moda, Pramoda changes of the mental, frames, changing mental frames or mental conditions are all the Pratishtha. The Pratishtha means they are all established in nothing but Brahman, which is Ananda. Their Atma is nothing but Ananda. Priya is Ananda. Moda is Ananda. Pramoda is also Ananda. But Ananda is not just Priya, Moda, or Pramoda, or Priya plus Moda plus Pramoda. No. These gradations do not make the Ananda at all. That is why in this portion, in the Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a Ananda Mimamsa, a discussion, a kind of an analysis of what constitutes this Ananda. Very ingenious and a very creative discussion. So what is this discussion? Very nice. So first you set up one unit of what is the ultimate human Ananda possible. And so You think of, you visualize a young person, because old means they will be all middle aged, there will be aches and pains and worries. Who wants that? Young person, yuvasyat, yuvasyat. But then the word young also goes with the word restless. And so young and restless, no, no, no. Sadhu yuva. Yuva syat. Sadhu yuva. Sadhu yuva. Peaceful, calm, young person. Amazing. Never heard of. And then what? And then must be really dull, must be tamasic, because which young person is sitting like a sadhu? No one. Must be tamasic, must be developmentally challenged. Adhyayakah yuva syat sadhu yuvadhyayakah. Well studied, well brought up. Oh, must be a nerd, antisocial, sitting somewhere. These are the people who become, what should I say, some kind of inventors, and some kind of, they invent some kind of apps and software, and they're sitting in their rooms and they don't come out and they don't even know how to say hello to people. And one wonders if they are, if they are some kind of high functioning autistic people. No, 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 this person is not any such person. Ashishto dradishto balishthah. Ashishta, well brought up, no, knows how to deal with elders, how to deal with people of one's own age, how to deal with others in the world. Dradishtha, not wishy-washy, is able to make up the mind when the mind needs to be made up. Unlike what is considered a bane of the state of youth, which is always flip-flopping. No such thing. Oh, must be some, must not be, must be some kind of a weak person. You say foo and the fellow falls down. No, balishta, very strong, well kept body, well kept mind, disciplined. And then, by now he is looking, for Indian parents, he's starting to look like son-in-law material. Okay, yeah, everybody is thinking, oh, this is very nice. In fact, the mama, the is already convinced. Yes, yes, yes. We should have this kind of a person for the daughter. Mommy is little more practical. Mommy says, "Show me the money. Where is the bank account?" we know what we can't eat the sadhutvam, and we can't eat the resolve and the dharmic thing. We can't eat dharma for lunch and dinner. So our daughter deserves the best. Show me the money. And then what? The next line of the Upanishad makes, it just clinches the deal. Tasyayam prithvi vittasya purna syat. Now see that this sadhu yuva that is being well brought up, well studied, wonderful, well mannered, and strong and dharmic, this kind of a person, let us say the resources, the entire resources, Iyam Prithvi. So this whole resources of the wealth of this whole world belong to him. And then Mommy is convinced now. Mommy says, forget the horoscope. Just let's catch this fellow. That's what it is. And so this is one unit of human ananda. But then if the people say, why is it that a young man is chosen? Because you see, there is no, what's the word for it? There is the essence of freedom, because men enjoy more freedom in the society, and they used to, this is a patriarchal culture. So therefore, the young man is chosen to illustrate. It's not about man, it's to illustrate one possible unit of human ananda. This is a setup. And then what? We just do some mathematical operation. Multiply this by 100. Te ye shatam manusha ananda. Multiply this by 100, and that is 1 unit of the Ananda enjoyed by the lower level, lower rung of celestials, musical celestials, yakshas, kinnaras, gandharvas. Saya eko gandharvanandah. Then what? More math. And then you multiply that by that by 100, and then you have the karma devananda. Karma devananda means what? The karma devas are yo karmana devanapi anti, little chaiwalas of heaven. Yeah. So they bring tea to the other devas higher up on the Ananda scale, and then they are happy. And so this is, but even the chaiwalas in heaven enjoy 200 times the Ananda. That one is that one is the 100 times the Ananda of the Gandharvas, and which in turn is 100 times, so 10,000 times more than the human Ananda. And so on the list goes. Then we have Chiraloka Lokanam Ananda, the other kind of devas, and then we have Pitrulokananda, and then we have Indrananda, etc. Brihaspati Ananda. And then there is, while we are chanting this, and it's very nice to chant, it's very sing song, and in between we have a refrain. Shrotriyasya chaka mahatasya स य एको मानुष आनन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य चाकामहतस्य स य देन् ते ये शतं मानुषा आनन्दाः स य एको गन्धर्वानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य चाकामहतस्य. This refrain has everything that we need to know. What is this refrain? That same Ananda, from the Manushyananda all the way to Brahmananda, this Brahmaji, the Ananda enjoyed by Lord Brahmaji, all of it is enjoyed by all the time by a person who is without a care, sitting by oneself under a tree, in a hut somewhere. And what is that? Shrotriyaha, the one who has been taught, the one who has studied Vedanta. You don't have to become a Gandharva in order to get Gandharvananda. There is no wanderlust, there is no afterlife lust. In fact, there is nowhere to go. So, sitting under a tree and just having a life where one understands I am the truth of everything, that is that Ananda enjoyed by the Shrotriya who is having Vairagya, and that is talked about by the next line, the next phrase, Shrotriyasya cha akamahatasya cha. Akamahataha, we have to resolve the compound carefully. Not akamena hataha. No, not killed by vairagya. No. Kamena na hataha. The one who is not hijacked by kama. That is the one who enjoys all these gradations, because that person is without gradations. That Ananda is without gradations. And that Ananda is without an enjoyer per se. It is the personhood of that person. There is no enjoyer enjoying the Ananda, because whenever there is an enjoyer enjoying the Ananda, then it is Ananda Kosha. Then we have Moda, Pramoda, Gandharvananda, Pitralokananda. Those are all truncated Anandas. So therefore, here even the sleep, even though in sleep one is with one's Swarupa, and it is close to, it is as close as a non-dual experience that one can have, really speaking, experientially speaking, it is still sleep, samadhi, etc. Or the Ananda coming from that is still what? Is still truncated, it is still kosha, it is a place of a potential error. If you think Ananda is nothing but sleep, then moksha is, if you want moksha, you promptly go to sleep. So that is not how it is, because upon waking, the whole world of problems, troubles, etc. wakes up with you. So therefore, it is Ananda Kosha. And then what? And then the next line says, Tasmin na uveda kinchit Tasmin means in this sleep. Sushuptau ityarthaha. So tasmin, it goes with the word sushupti. Sushuptau, in this sushupti, in this sleep state, nothing is known. Tasmin na uveda kinchit. Nothing really is understood. Because in sleep you are not interacting with anybody. You don't even know you are asleep. So sleep is a very interesting state. Whether it happens in class or outside of class, it's a very interesting state. You don't know you are asleep. You don't know what is happening. So na uveda kinchit. Why? Niratishaya sukhabhyantare, in the middle of a limitless happiness, limitless ananda, liyamanaha, one is suspended, one has gained oneness, one has resolved into that Swarupananda, which has no limits, which has no definition, which has no status, which cannot really even be cognized as I am enjoying this. Why? Ahankara luptatvat, Anandagiri says, because the Ahankara has gone into hiding, the Ahankara is in a place of repose. Ahankara is undifferentiated, like the body, etc. Then what? So this Sukhi, the one who is enjoying this sleep, Dukhi Syat. Dukhi Syat means it doesn't take time for this Sukhi person who is enjoying this sleep to suddenly become what? Dukhi. When does the person becomes Dukhi? When the person is awakened. Bodhitaha. Bodhitaha means not taught here. We know Bodhitaha. Bodhitaha, awakened. When awakened, the person becomes very sad. Why? The person was one with Ishvara, and then you say, hey, wake up, and then you bring the person out of Ishvara, so to speak. Why? Because the Ahankara is there, and the Ahankara complains, and the Ahankara sees all the things that need to be done, and the Ahankara is upset, angry, and the complaining individual awakens. Ishvara predominates in sleep, and the Jiva predominates in the waking state, and the Jiva preponderates. And what is the Jiva? Complaining. That's what it is. The querulous Jiva, is what predominates in the waking state. So dukhi syat bodhita san. So if you awaken that person, the person becomes very happy. Iti kushalamatihi na bodhayet eva suptam. Kushalamati means the wise ones. Kushalamatihi, the wise person, would never awaken. Na bodhayet, na eva bodhayet suptam. Suptam na eva bodhayet, would never awaken a sleeping person. So now you know the reason why I don't awaken anybody who is sleeping in class, in Vedanta class. This is how. See, I have a Shastric backing to not do that. But this is true, really. And this all I learned from Pujya Swamiji only. Pujya Swamiji would tell a story in the days of Rishikesh in the 60s. And he had Pujya Swamiji had another Swami friend who was in the neighboring hut that he occupied. And that Swami was very, very, very wise. And Pujya Swamiji said he used to go to him for advice. Pujya Swamiji was a young sannyasi at that time. He used to go to him for advice, and he was so knowledgeable and very peaceful. It was just wonderful to just sit with him. So, and then what would happen is that that other Swami, as he got older, and with the Rishikesh winters in those days, especially before all this climate change and alteration, the winters were very, very hard, and developed very bad arthritis, which prevented him from going and standing in line to go to some Anna Kshetra, Bhiksha Kshetra, like Kali, Kamli Wala, etc. All these Annadana Kshetras are there, where you stand in line and then your food is assured. And so this is, he was unable to go. So sometimes Pujya Swamiji would bring him, make him some tea or bring him his bhiksha. And then, so another part of the story is that he had one student. He had one shishya in residence. So he stayed in that. So Pujya Swamiji had a one room hut, and the hut of this Swami was three rooms. So that in one room the shishya was staying. One brahmachari was staying. And then everybody wondered, why does the brahmachari not bring the guru any food? Because the guru here is suffering. The fingers and feet are swollen, the ankles and knees are swollen, not able to walk, not able to go, drags himself around with great difficulty for bath, etc. And so, don't you think the shishya's duty is to bring the guru the food? Everybody else was kind of outraged. But the Guru was prasanna chitta. He was very happy. He was not bothered. And anybody asked, where is your Shishya? He's sleeping in the room. He's sleeping. and and then they would say, we need to wake him up. We need to tell him that your strength is ebbing and he should take care of you. What is the use of having him there? And the Guru, the Swami, would say, let him sleep. It's his punya, it's his prarabdha that gives him sleep, not only during the night, but also during several hours of the day. Think of how much punya he must have done to enjoy this much sleep. And in sleep, he is with Ishvara. Who am I to bring him out of Ishvara? I am nobody like that. So therefore, it was just Pujya Swamiji said that was a really transformational moment for him. He was so transformed and moved by this. So this is one story he would always share to show how this sleep. I learned a lot from hearing this too. That one must not wake a sleeping person. And then the other story also is centered around, revolves around Pujya Swamiji's life. And what is this story? Pujya Swamiji, as many people know, used to study Brahma Sutra from Swami Tarananda ji, who I have had the good fortune to have met in my life. So Swami Taranandaji used to teach two students, Pujya Swamiji and another Swami, and the class was not super early in the morning. It was at 8 to 10 every morning the class was, and a small distance away from the kutia they would go and sit in a temple in the little quadrangle of the temple, and they would study. And the other man, the other Swami, would go next to the wall, and as soon as Sahana Vavatu mantra was chanted, he would be going like this. And Sahana Vavatu mantra was his lullaby, and then Purnamadav Purnamidam was his Suprabhatam wake up call. That's when he would sleep the whole class. The whole entire class. And the Brahma Sutras are 555 in number. So it takes a lot, and there is a lot of arguments this way, that way, all up and down, and they take a long time to study. And so this continued for 18 months, 24/7, 365. This continued. And Swami Tarananda ji, bless his heart, would not say a word to the sleeping Swami. Would not say a word. And after 18 months, that sleeping Swami woke up in the middle of the class, by God's grace, of course, and asked a question which, of course, had been covered and already had been covered. And at that time, Swami Tarananda ji very calmly said, ये सोने की बात नहीं है, ये सुनने की बात है. Meaning, this is not a matter for sleeping, this is a matter for listening. And so then after that, the Swami himself kind of got ashamed. He felt ashamed and stopped coming, leaving Pujya Swamiji alone there. And Pujya Swamiji said he was very much into the Brahma Sutra, but he was always in awe of how is it that this Swami Taranandaji would not wake up the only other student in the class. So this all shows that this all has Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and Satasloki backing. Okay, very, very beautiful. Some questions are there. What is this? The ananda that we derive from ego gratifying experiences elates the spirits, making us feel being on top of cloud nine. While the ananda of waking up from a good night's sleep is perceived as calmness and relieving, at the outset, doesn't these two look so different, at least on the level of perception? How do we see these two as varied experiences in the varied experiences having in one's mind to be the same? It is the same. You see, you don't see that in chocolate cake ananda because the ahankara is not completely gone. The ahankara is there as the enjoyer. In sleep, the ahankara is not there as the enjoyer. It is recalled later when the mind wakes up, and then the mind says, I slept very well, I did not know anything. Okay, so that is the that is the idea. So then question 2, isn't the first one rajasic and then tamasic? We can put all these gunas on it as the experience of happiness in the form of, yeah, of course, any happiness that you experience in life will be mediated through the three gunas. You are absolutely correct, but that's not the point here. The point is to not look at the gunas, etc. We are looking at we are abstracting from that and looking at ananda that is not mitigated by the gunas. That's not the point here. That you have a point, you are not wrong, but the point here is to look at ananda from two standpoints. To look at the ananda whose experience the enjoyer difference is very much in place, and then to look at the ananda from sleep experience or samadhi experience is also there, where the enjoyer difference is not there. That is what is the point here, to understand that when the enjoyer resolves, then that enjoyment is called Swarupananda. And just like I say, even with this knowledge of Brahman, it is a knowledge without a knower. It is an Ananda, it is a limitlessness without the perceiver or the enjoyer. That's what it is. Okay. Then one more question is there. While sleeping, may be fine from the guru's perspective. For the shishya or the devotee really loses out on the learning. So should the guru not be considerate to provide the shishya with the jnana of what is being lost in the process? No, because the guru trusts the pramana, the guru trusts that the shishya will awaken, literally and figuratively. The shishya will awaken one day. It will happen. So it is not the guru's responsibility to awaken a sleeping shishya, because that comes under the adhikaritvam, the qualifications to be gained by the shishya. One of them is to be awake. So this comes under the, what is that? Where would it come? Samadhanam, single-minded focus. Yeah. So yeah, I am absolved of this. Okay, yeah. Nice try. So I appreciate the effort, but no, I will not. I will not wake anybody up. All right. So on that note, Shubha Ratri to all who are in who are enjoying night time right now, and Suprabhatam to those who are logging in from India. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Amma.